Hour number 2 starting right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you until 7 o'clock tonight. We hand off to Mark Levin at that time. It is live. It is local throughout the course of the broadcast day on Super Talk 99.7. We're on every single platform you can possibly imagine. Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, all the rest of the podcast and music and news and information apps. We have our own Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You can find us on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble now. And I am told that if you type in 997 WTN or just 997, you can get over to the Rumble side of things. We appreciate you joining us on Rumble or whatever platform you might utilize. And, of course, there's always the good old radio dial. As Ken Weaver was delivering the newscast, I was monitoring a situation that is breaking out in Ventura County, California. Federal ICE agents are conducting a large-scale immigration raid at a farm in Ventura County. The operation began earlier this morning. It triggered a volatile standoff with anti-ICE protesters rushing to the scene to disrupt the arrests. Clashes have erupted as agents move in, protesters shouting, blocking vehicles, attempting to interfere with detention. The situation has escalated now that federal employees and officers have deployed smoke canisters. They sent the crowd into chaos. A number of undocumented individuals, also known as illegal aliens, have been detained. Tensions remain high. Demonstrators continue to arrive. Federal ICE agents in a tense standoff right now. This behavior is being encouraged by liberal politicians, and it is putting ICE agents, federal officials, in danger, and it needs to stop. We've seen 2 instances. I mentioned my conversation this morning over coffee with Afton Bain. I asked her, I said, which is it, Ben or Bain? She said, it doesn't matter. And I said, but which is it? And she said, Bain. Afton Bain. I have referred to Afton as just the cutest little communist in the state of Tennessee, and she is. I told her that. Anyway, I said, we were discussing these ICE raids, and I said, and she was describing what she did and how she did not feel like she had done anything wrong because she did not feel like she impeded ICE agents during their efforts in Nashville, but yet she was documenting their movements, and she did not feel like that put them in harm's way. And I told her, I said, well, I understand, I suppose, your argument, but, you know, when we have people specifically targeting, when we have people shooting at ICE agents, it kind of hurts your argument. And Afton, and I guess I'll take her at her word this morning, she said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, you don't know about the 2 situations in Texas where there was an individual bum rushed an ICE detention facility and shot a federal agent in the knee. There was another situation where 10 separate individuals, I guess 11, have been charged now with gathering together and conspiring with the purpose of ambushing ICE agents. One of those agents was shot in the neck, I believe. ICE agents are being shot by those that are taking politicians at their word when those politicians say that it's time to take to the streets. Very dangerous situation. We'll keep you up to date with that going on as the afternoon continues. But right now, I want to get to your calls on the issue of, either Gavin Newsom or Jeffrey Epstein. We discussed Jeffrey Epstein in the first hour of the show and how I don't believe this situation is going away, despite the fact that it is a classic case of address the issue, attempt to have a moment of finality on the issue. Donald Trump attempted that earlier this week in a cabinet meeting. I don't think that changes the fact that people have many questions, more questions now than ever, because some of the same entities that told us that they knew definitively that there was a black book, that there was a list, they're now telling us there wasn't. I gave my best take on it yesterday afternoon. Victor Davis Hanson, who is a great mind, was on with Glenn Beck, and he had this to say on the Beck podcast regarding what his best analysis was.
What do you think this is really about?
I think it's pretty clear now that Epstein had no talent other than blackmail, and he was not a financier. He was not a captain of finance at all. What he did is he invited very powerful people to his island or his New York home, filmed them, and then he bribed them, and he shook them down and said, I'm going to be your quote-unquote financial advisor, and in exchange for that, I'm not going to release all that stuff. And whether, there were some
so
pretty
why
big
isn't it
people.
being exposed?
Because I think it's not. I think there are people in the establishment. I don't know if they partook in his sick things he was doing, but they feel they have some association with him, and they have a finance. They gave him money to invest when there was no reason to hire someone like that. There were much better financial gurus, but he got $500 million somehow from people who were mainstream establishmentarians on the basis that he was going to blackmail him. I think that.
So Victor Davis Hanson works through the blackmail piece. I would suggest that there's a little more going on. It would not surprise me if the intelligence community had not co-opted some of the things that Jeffrey Epstein knew about individuals for their own purposes. And if that makes him, by extension, a part of certain intelligence communities, maybe so. Maybe he was an asset for those intelligence communities. I don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. And a government of the people, by the people, for the people should be transparent unless and until you present a compelling reason why you shouldn't. Here's how you get out of this. Because Kash Patel, I have the receipt. I can play it for you if you'd like. If you missed it yesterday, we played it yesterday. Kash Patel last year was on record as saying, oh, there's a black book. The FBI has the black book. I mean, he was definitive when he said this. There is a black book. The FBI director has it. It's on his desk. And he needs to release it, or at least release what he can of it. Well, now the same guy, Kash Patel, is saying there is no black book. So you were either full of Bravo Sierra then, or you're full of it now. Bravo Sierra. Yeah, bull squeeze. You got it.
That's a clever one.
You got it.
I like that one.
You got it. You're either full of it then, or you're full of it now. And you owe it from a transparency standpoint. All you have to do is come out to the press conference and be truthful. Say, listen. And I know this wouldn't satisfy everybody, but it would satisfy me a hell of a lot more. You say, listen, I know that I said a lot of things prior to becoming the director of the FBI. And that was through a lot of my intelligence sources and resources. I used trusted methods by which I kind of gathered information together. But frankly, there were some times where I shot from the hip. And I said things that I said in a definitive fact. I mean, this is hard to do, by the way. I understand that people with egos, it's a difficult thing to do. But you just admit. You admit that you were full of it then. You say, I did not know what I did not know, and I claim to know a lot of things. And now that I am director of the FBI, I've gone over all of it, and there is no black book, and there is no this or that or the other thing. Or, conversely, you say, look, I was right. There is a black book, but we can't release it. And here are the specific reasons why. You hold a press conference, and you stand there, and you answer every question available to you. Or you just say, you know what, y'all don't need to know. And you become, sadly, Dan Bongino created an audience and made a living discussing with his audience those things that the American people deserve to know that are being kept from them. And he created a very loyal, dedicated following on the premise that he was a truth teller that was not afraid to shake up the establishment and tell it like it is. And for those of you who are clinging, and I understand why you would, because I believe in Bongino too. I want to. I believe in Patel. I want to. But if we cling to the belief that they are still truth tellers, and many of you are saying, Matt, they destroyed all of this before they got into office. Well, then tell us that too. Tell us that it was destroyed. Why would you keep that from us if that's the case? They're not saying that. They're not saying it could have been destroyed. They're not saying it was destroyed. They're not saying that evidence was tampered with. They're saying it never existed. And I don't play for Team Republican. And as much as I support him and believe in him and love his presidency, I'm not on Team Trump. I'm on Team America. I'm on Team you. I'm on Team Liberty. And that involves transparency. Jeff is in Hendersonville. Thank you for your call, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, Matt, we still playing racquetball tonight?
What?
We still playing racquetball tonight? Are we playing racquetball tonight?
I'm here. I'm just waiting for you to get to something serious, Jeff.
Oh, hey, no, hey, not at all, not at all.
Is
hey,
that was that humor?
That was humor.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, what was humorous? Well, your boys, when you were gone, I tell you what, man, it was comedy gold. Do not fall asleep on anybody's couch. Any of those guys that filled in for you, you will wake up on Broadway in a Batman suit. Trust me. But listen, in terms of Epstein or Newsom, what's the bigger?
And by the way, Jeff, before you get to it, I just didn't get the joke. I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I just didn't understand. I didn't understand the joke.
No, with your shoulder, but never mind. That's
okay. I got you.
Yeah, okay. I guess it wasn't that funny.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
But listen, what's the bigger threat? To me, listen, take it from somebody who's lived under it. I have a lot of Democrat friends in California, specifically L.A. and San Diego. They're leaving Tennessee, and those are Democrats. They want no part of Newsom. It is a clear and present danger. I mean, if you are of the progressive mindset that you want to destroy anything existent in the U.S., Gavin's your guy. Trust me. There's no way the guy should go national. It's a frightening proposition, and I'm insulted he was even in Tennessee. But in terms of Epstein, I'm just hoping maybe they're playing 3D chess here, and maybe there's a troll going on here we just don't know about. But damn, they sure did lose a lot of credibility, and to me, it's a real stain on what's been a pretty exemplary ride since November and specifically January when Trump took office. I think they need to come clean.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it were so. I don't think that they are going to. And let me tell you. And thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for the call. And I think I can still play racquetball with my right hand. Just give me a couple of weeks. I'll be in there. The way that I think all of this will play out is as I have described it. I do believe that the Department of Justice will go silent on this issue. I don't believe that Pam Bondi will entertain questions on it. I don't think that Kash Patel is going to hold a press conference. He doesn't have to. I don't believe that Dan Bongino is going to speak to it. He doesn't have to. And they'll let it lie. The next time that they find themselves in an open forum in which people who are predisposed to want to know more of the truth, you get a question out, and a month from now, they're going to tell you that's old news. And they're going to say, that's old news. We've already answered all of those questions, and we're not taking questions on that subject, and they'll move on from it. That's the way that they're going to do it until people like us just accept it. That's the play. They don't care about liberals, and nor should they. Liberals are always going to liberal. They believe that the good that the Trump administration is doing, and it's a lot of good, they believe all of that good will eventually cover up Epstein. Like a cat covering up a turd in a litter box. That's what they believe. Shane, Scott, Philip, Marie, hang in. More to come on Super Talk. Wait a minute, Ken, but I'm a little fleshy. You mean Democrats? No? I'll just have to listen to the story. I'll just listen to the story and get back with you, Brother Ken.
All right, Brother.
26 after, I just heard the side of, flesh eating. Oh, those are the Democrats. 26 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As promised, back to your call. Shane is next. Hey, Shane.
Hey, so a couple of years ago, there were some guys that would sue each other and their friends to get on court TV. Now, what would be, and maybe it's a Friday question, but what would be a plan, like if you and I got together and said, we're going to do this thing, and I take a full-page ad out of the Tennessean saying Matt Murphy is on the Epstein list, and you sue me for defamation, but the only way to figure it out would be to expose that list.
Wait, so you're suggesting this as a method by which you expose the information?
Yes.
Well, the courts, I think Alan Dershowitz was relating his effort to clear his name, and the courts intentionally, he was privy to that information, but they intentionally suppressed the information from public availability. What they do is they use the shield of the victim, right? They say that there are so many victims in the case. In order to open up these files, you would expose the victims to scrutiny, and in doing so, that would be wrong, so they seal the case. Is what happens. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's what happens. But I mean, I like the idea. Or better yet, just if anything else. And thank you, Shane, for the call. I'm just asking for Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi to take this as representatives of the Trump administration as seriously as they seemed to take it before they were. Is that too much to ask? They took this very seriously when Pam Bondi was down in Florida and when Bongino was on the radio and when Kash Patel was a guest on so many radio shows and podcasts. They took it incredibly seriously and seemed to have a lot of information that now suddenly they say doesn't exist. What I would like is for them to take that this seriously and hold a press conference and say, look, this is what we thought we knew. This is what we know now. This is what we found out. This is why we can't just – they haven't even held a press conference. They floated they made promises, guys. Well, I don't mean to belabor it. I'm not trying to act like this is – I mean, it's important to me because I don't like the idea of rich people, based on the very nature of their wealth, getting away with child rape. Do you? And I feel like that's what's happening. And even if we never get the answers that we want, at least have the respect for the American people to demonstrate a recognition of the concern. At least respect me enough to stand before a podium and answer questions, even if the answers are, I can't answer that question. Explain to me why it was that you were so sure. Once again, need I say it more? The man himself said he had the information. He knew about the information. He told us everything that he knew. That's Bongino. Patel, too. And now they're saying that the things that they claim to know never existed. Well, now you're kind of treating me like I'm Boo-Boo the Fool. It's 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, we're getting did you know? Oh, I just dropped something. One-handed, baby. I'm literally doing this radio show. Does any other host have trouble with this microphone? Because if you just let it go like this, watch this. Are you watching on Talk TV? You watch on TV, you go boop, and it goes boop. I'm literally doing the radio show with one arm tied behind my back.
My favorite was when the mic fell on you.
I can't hear you. It was Limbaugh who. I can't hear you.
My favorite was when the mic fell on you and you said "dadgummit." That was a really good one.
Oh, thanks.
It was a good dadgummit.
I give a dadgummit every once in a while.
Oh, dadgummit.
Yeah, it was Limbaugh that used to say that. He did the radio show with half his brain tied behind his back just to make it fair. He was the best. All right, we'll put a capper on the Epstein conversation. Look, nothing else to say but this. I don't like the idea of powerful people using their wealth and influence to keep themselves from justice. And I truly believe it is happening. And I also don't like the idea of individuals who ran around making a lot of promises about what they knew and what they didn't know and what they found out, and their sources said this and their sources said that. And now when it comes time to get down there to where the goats can graze on it, they tell us, well, none of that exists. Trust us, they say. Those same individuals that said trust to no one. I don't trust the Department of Justice. I don't trust the FBI. And I don't care who's in charge of it. But we'll get to a few more of your calls and move on from it, talk about a few other matters. Hello, Scott.
Hey, good afternoon. I just wanted to say I truly think the Trump administration knows about it and knows who's out there. And it's just world leaders as well as politicians, as well as clergymen, justices, all of them. So I really think what they've done is they've seen, for example, Adam Schiff. I mean, he can come and literally lie to the people. And I remember him saying on interview after interview that he has seen, that list and it's damning and everything. And then with the Hillary dossier, that was a straight lie. Anyway, my point is that Trump knows that nothing's ever going to happen to these people. So I really think he's using it to his advantage around the world. Why not go around the world and say, hey, listen, guess what I got? I got this document. How about dropping some oil? Hey, how about doing this? And I really think he's doing that, and I think he's doing it in Congress as well. Hey, you guys don't want to sign this bill? Hey, look at this piece of paper. I'd hate for it to get out somehow. And I truly think that's what he's doing. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but I figure if we're not going to put anybody in jail and these clowns never seem to go, then let's use it to our advantage and get things done. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's truly what I think is going on. Because remember, he's always 3 or 4 steps ahead of the game.
No Democrat voted for the big, beautiful bill.
Exactly.
Is that to suggest that no Democrat was compromised? I mean, if you're right, why wouldn't more Democrats have voted for it?
Well, I think if they all stay together, they don't have to worry on something like that.
I just, it would... Well, I don't dismiss your theory. It is what it is. But I would say this, Scott, if you're right, that's disgusting.
It's absolutely disgusting.
And I don't believe, I mean, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I don't believe our man would do that. I don't believe Donald Trump would say, hey, child rapist, if you don't do what I want you to do politically, I'm going to bring you to justice. But otherwise, I'll let you get away with it.
But I don't think he's going to let him get away with it. I think when the end, somehow or another, it's still going to be coming out. Because think about this. If we hear about it a year or two later and say this is why we did it, are we going to be upset? No, because all we really want to do is see who's behind those names and who's involved anyway. And however we see it, we're fine with it.
Well, my predictions have yet to be wrong regarding this. I've been wrong a lot over my career, but I haven't been wrong about this because I said from the beginning that we would never see there would never be any third party that comes to justice over this, and we would never see any of this. And I believe that this is their way of permanently spiking this story. That's my belief. And we'll see. We'll see. And thank you, Scott, for the call. And look, I understand that politics is the ultimate blood sport. It's the ultimate hardball. And and Donald Trump is the best that we have ever seen at creating leverage and then using that leverage to his own advantage. I do not believe that that's what he's doing in this case. Because I don't want to believe it. Because I want to believe that he's a better person than that. Philip is next.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, Philip. I'm doing good. I hope you are.
Oh, I'm doing okay. I just wonder how many people's on that list y'all keep talking about. Wouldn't you like to just catch them all at once or let the list down there all hit for non-extradition countries?
Well, I've said, Philip, and thank you for the telephone call. I've said that I don't believe that there's a list per se, but I do believe that there's a treasure trove of information. We were told at one point it's 300 gigabytes of information from a computer perspective. There is so much information, so much video, so many transcripts, so much surveillance film. that you use all of that, you go over all of that, and you pull together those third parties who have been involved to the point that you believe that you can create a case against those third parties. That's your quote-unquote list. I don't believe that it's like a piece of paper. I don't – oh, look, here's the list, and here's John Schmo and Joe Doe and whatever. I don't think that's the case. Some would suggest that that was his black book. Now we're told that doesn't exist. But I do believe that there are indictable people that are going to be getting away with disgusting behavior because powerful people would just as soon all of this go away. And when I say powerful people, I mean I'm talking powerful people with lots of money and a tremendous amount of influence. One or two more on this, and we move away from it. Star is next on Jeffrey Epstein. Hey, Star.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. And I agree with most of everything that you're saying, and like everybody else, the whole thing just sits really badly with me. One of the things that I found curious was the timing that it was released. So, I mean, we have, the big, beautiful bill being signed, the 4th of July, we have this big holiday weekend, everything's going well. And then, bam, this comes out, and it comes out as if the American people are not going to care whatsoever. And I found it odd that, previous to this, you have Elon and Trump and their feud before the whole 12-day war. Elon, says his thing about Trump being on the list, and then it kind of gets quiet. And then the big, beautiful bill gets signed. Elon says, hey, if that gets signed, the next day I'm making the America Party. So on the 4th, the bill gets signed. On the 5th, he makes the American Party. And then on the 6th, the DOJ releases this. And I find that kind of odd. I don't know what it really means, but it is something that struck me as interesting.
So I guess based on what you're saying, do you believe that Elon knows what he claims to know? I feel like Elon's shooting off at the lip.
And it could be something that maybe he knows something, or maybe it's to, instigate further. I really don't know. Trump does certain things for, like he plays a good game of chess. So I'm not sure if it's just to squash it or if it's to ignite something, because, it obviously is. We've, all news can be good news in some ways because it gains attention. And it seems obvious to me that this disclosure from the DOJ would gain a lot of attention. I don't think that they would not have anticipated our reaction to this. And then Trump coming out and just really scolding the reporter, like, why are you asking about this? This is old news.
Well,
old news.
and I wish, and you bring that up, and I felt like as much as I love the guy, it was a bad moment for Trump.
Yeah.
And I wish there had been someone in the room, and I understand in the heat of the moment it's hard to do, that was willing to say, Mr. President, we're bringing it up because y'all promised this to us, the American people. Your administration promised transparency in all things, including the Epstein files. And your administration, including Pam Bondi, said that she had the information from the Southern District of New York on her desk, and that once she went through it, she would release that which she was able to release while redacting victims' names. And now she's telling us there's nothing to release? Sir, that strains credibility. And just to see how they respond to that, because that's the way I feel about it. This is an issue because they made promises. My grandpa used to have the saying, Star, that, your mouth's writing checks that your butt can't cash.
Right.
And that's the way I feel like the Epstein thing is going.
Well, it's a shame. And I think that everybody that can be held accountable should, if we're going after, all these other violent, dangerous criminals and sex traffickers and pedophiles. We 100% should be going after the ones in those films and that information as well.
Well, and I
should be held accountable.
And I agree with you, and thank you for the call. And I know that it's creating a rift between amongst Trump supporters, and I'm a Trump supporter, But there are things that I value more than Donald Trump. I value the Constitution. I value freedom. I value liberty. I value equal justice under the law. I value John's call. Hello, John.
Hey, Matt. Hope all is well with you.
Yes, sir.
Your arm's feeling good.
Doing well.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I really wanted to highlight, for me anyways, just kind of sitting back and listening to this whole Epstein thing and people talking about it. And it's just like the same things keep happening over and over again. And you have the group of people who are want to justify everything. Well, Trump this, Trump that, or Pam Bondi. At the end of the day, all these folks, they're all lying to us one way or the other. We're never going to get to the truth of the matter because, like you said, it's very, very powerful people that it implicates. And those people are never going to allow themselves to be implicated.
Yeah, I mean, I fear that's where we're going to get with it. I fear that, I mean, you know what? Will it totally destroy this? I mean, it's not going to do anything other than continue our frustration and our belief that if you are rich enough and powerful enough, that in certain circumstances, particularly in this one, thanks, John, for the call, that you can get away with things. And it seems as if they're going to get away with this. That's the frustrating aspect of this. I think I put John on hold as opposed to put him on. Just thank him for his call, and we'll move on from it. All right, we'll maybe finish a little bit of this up. We'll get into the Chattanooga chicken story. I brought this up yesterday late in the show, and it's just an interesting exercise to me because we all draw our lines in slightly different places about where we believe appropriate government intervention should come, right? And I find it interesting that many people that believe in liberty and claim that they believe in autonomy and your ability to live a life of your own choosing, unfettered by others or government, how that can change when you are faced up front and center with what you believe to be a violation of your civil liberties or rights. And there's an interesting case in Chattanooga that illustrates the point. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment. Your calls coming up as well as the Murphy Show continues 52 minutes after 4 o'clock on Super Talk. Thank you, Ken Weaver. We look forward to those. There's a debate going on in Chattanooga right now. Apparently, I guess the city of Chattanooga is trying to decide whether or not, as a municipality, to remove a restriction on your ability to own chickens in your backyard. Right now, Chattanooga restricts chicken ownership to 2 acres and up. And there are advocates that are attempting to get that restriction lifted so that anybody and everybody that wants to own chickens in their backyard would be able to do so. You know what? I guess there might be an argument to be made against roosters. I don't see the argument against chickens, and I don't believe the government should interfere in our lives to the point that they prevent us from feeding our chickens. But you know what? Where does it stop? At some point, does it stop? Do you want a little mini hog farm in the backyard of your neighbor's house or whatnot? We'll discuss coming up in just a moment or two on the Super Talk 99.7 WTN text line as well as the phone lines. I love this. I got this from the Super text line. I can't remember who put it in. Said, I want Kash Patel to investigate my mortgage. See what you did there? I'd like her to do, yeah. Hey, we've investigated Ken Weaver's mortgage. We've discovered there's no mortgage.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like hearing it. All right, time for the news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We are halfway home on this Thursday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. Thank you for being with us. We'll catch you up on news, weather, all the events you need to know about. Check the roadways, and we'll be back for the second half of the broadcast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.